application specific integrated circuit is a microchip designed to perform a specific or unique application used as replacement to conventional general purpose logic circuit. See, if you are going for general purpose logic circuits, you can implement your program into that general purpose logic chips and you can use it for any application. That is general purpose one. If you are going for application specific integrated circuit, you will generate the circuit, that is integrated circuit, ICs or PCB board, only with respect to one application. If I want to implement the microwave, then you will be generating only with respect to that what all the ICs are needed, what all the inputs are needed, what all the output we have to get. With respect to that, you will generate one application specific integrated circuit, means it should operate only for the microwave. It can't be implemented for any other electronic devices. That's why it will be a application specific integrated circuit. It integrates several functions into a single chip and thereby reduces the system development cost. Okay, it will integrate the several functions into single chip and it reduces the system development cost. And ASIC consumes a very small area in the total system and helps in designing of smaller system with higher capability and functionality. Always ASIC will consume the less amount of area, because with respect to that device only we have designed this ASIC, application specific integrated circuit. For that reason it will be having a smaller area of size and it will be giving you with respect to high capabilities and high functionalities. And next is fabrication of ASIC requires a non-refundable initial investment for the process, technology and configuration expenses. This investment is known as non-recurring engineering charges, NRE, and is a one-time investment. Whenever we are generating, we want to design one application specific integrated circuit, means at the starting stage you will be doing trial and error methods. If any problem occurs, you have to overcome from that error. In that way, if you are implementing or if you are giving some if you are implementing some amount, if you are investing some amount of money on those type of starting stage, it can be called as research stage or R&D stage. At that time, what all the investment you are putting on the device is a non-recurring engineering charges, means you won't get it back. That money you won't get it back, because at the time of testing and verifying, you may lose so much amount of devices also. That may be a non-recurring engineering charge. After implementation or after getting the proper device, okay, from that you can the product which is already applicable or it can be used in the actual applications, then it is called as a application level device. Okay, if the non-recurring engineering charges is borne by a third party and the ASIC is made openly available in the market, then it is referred as application specific standard product. This can, as whenever the product comes into the market, then it is called as application specific standard product, ASSP. And you can take an example of ADE 7760 energy meter ASIC developed by the Analog Devices for energy metering application. To find with respect to energy metering, means like what I can tell you as electric current measuring meter, how much amount of power supply you have, electricity you have used for your home. For that also energy meter is there, na? That is with respect to how much amount of power supply you have used, how much amount of money you have to pay for that much amount of units. With respect to that, that is an one application specific integrated circuit has been generated for your this electronic energy meters. Next is programmable logic devices, that is logic devices provided specific functions including device to device interfacing, data communication, signal processing, data displaying, timing and control operations, and almost every other function a system must perform. All these things are logic, normally logic devices. If I am taking specific functions will be there with respect to device. One device to another device, it will be different only. It may be for data communication, signal processing, data displaying, timing or control operations and all. Almost every other functions with respect to system must perform comes under logic devices. Logic devices can be classified into two broad categories. One is fixed and programmable. Fixed logic devices or programmable logic device. The circuit is fixed logic device are permanent. They perform one function or set of functions. Once manufactured, they cannot be changed. At the time of manufacturing only, you will be implementing your program into that, installing the program into that, and the IC will be implemented into application device, and you will get the result after implementing it. And as the product is already displayed or given to the market and customers, after that you can't change the program, you can't do any changes with respect to that application device. Okay, if you are going for programmable logic devices, it offers the customers a wide range of logic capacity features and speed and velocity, voltage characteristics, and these devices can be reconfigured to perform any number of functions at any time. These devices can be reconfigured to perform any number of functions at any time, which means that see, whenever after implementing your logical program into a logical device, after, with respect to the speed, voltage characteristics, these device can be reconfigured. You can do any changes with respect to the device, and also at any time. Designers use inexpensive software tools to quickly develop, simulate, and test their designs. Okay, they will create or design the software tools with respect to simulation and testing the designs. Then a design can be quickly programmed into device and immediately tested in a live circuits only. And there is no NRE cost, and the final design is completed much faster than a custom fixed logic devices. It here you won't be having any NRE cost, because whenever you are doing the programmable logic devices, already I have explained in the digital system design subject, that programmable logic devices, how it will be there. You will be having the and or array, and you will be having the interconnection points. Wherever you want, you can connect them. Wherever you don't want, you can simply disconnect them. It will create you with respect to that, you will get the proper function with respect to that. See, if you are not getting the proper result with respect to the first design, you can change it to the next design, but you are not changing any hardwares. You are going to changing only interconnection with respect to the program. That's it. For that reason, you won't be having any NRE cost before implementing or before giving it to the market. You won't get any non-recurring cost. Okay. And another key benefit of using PLD is that during the design phase, customers can change the circuitry as often as they want until the design operates to their satisfaction. You can change how much ever circuitry you want to change, you can change it. How much ever blocks you can change it. All those things till whatever the results they want, till they reach that position. Once the design is final, customer can go into immediate production by simply programming as many PLDs as they would need with the final software design file. As and when we are designing, if design file is ready, automatically they can go for the bulk production and all. The two major type of programmable logic devices are field programmable logic array, gate array, and complex programmable logic devices. CPLD and FPGAs are the main things. You can see the difference between FPGA and CPLDs. In FPGAs, the FPGA offer the highest amount of logic density, the most features and highest performance. In CPLDs offer much smaller amount of logic up to about 10,000 gates, only 10,000 gates. And here you will be having highest amount of logic density. And here the largest FPGA now shipping part of Xilinx Vertex line of devices provides 8 million system gates, the relative density of the logic. It will be providing 8 million some number of gates within one FPGA, which will be providing you highest density of the logic. Okay. And but CPLD offer very predictable timing characteristics and are therefore ideal for critical control application. With respect to CPLD, it will be with respect to timing characteristics. If you are going with respect to real-time devices and all, then always you have to go with respect to CPLDs. And in FPGA, these advanced devices also offer features such as built-in hardwired processors, such as IBM Power PCs, substantial amount of memory, clock management systems, and support for many of the latest very fast device to device signaling technologies. You can see with respect to that. And CPLDs such as the Xilinx School Runners series also require extremely low amount of power and are very inexpensive, making them ideal for cost sensitive, battery operated, portable applications such as mobile phones and digital handled assistances. For these, you can use CPLDs. In FPGA are used in wide variety of application ranging from data processing and storage to instrumentation, telecommunication, and digital signal processing. For all these applications, you can go with the field programmable gate arrays. Advantages of PLDs you can see here. PLDs offer customers much more flexibility during the design cycle because design iterations are simply a matter of changing the programming file, and the result of design changes can be immediately in working part. See what all the changes you want to do, you can do it within by using the PLD. So by changing your program only, you can change the whole interconnections. By that you can get that it is an which will be having the less amount of cost with respect to damages and all. Okay, PLDs do not require long lead times for prototypes or production parts. The PLDs are already on the distributor shelves and ready for shipment. Normally PLDs won't take much time to implementation. Whatever the prototypes and product parts are there, it will be ready. Already ready distribute, it will be present in the means it is ready to ship. In that way you can produce it. After getting vendors, if vendors are getting those type of PLDs, they can implement their own program into those PLDs, and they can make it in work with respect to their own applications. Okay, PLDs do not require customers to pay for large NRE costs and purchase expensive mask sets. That is, PLD suppliers incur those costs when they design their programmable devices, and they are able to amortize those costs over the multi-year lifespan of a given line of PLDs. See, they won't, the customers no need to pay for the NREs. That is non-recurring engineering cost. Whenever we are designing with respect to PLDs, we are not losing any amount of money. For that reason, you customers won't get that amount, that NRE cost on their own. Okay, and if whatever the design process and programming cost is there, that cost can come into come back to the PLDs after multi-year lifespan of your PLDs. Okay. 1 second. Yeah. And PLDs allow customer to order just the number of parts they need when they need them, allowing them to control inventory. See how much amount number of parts they want, they can order it. After getting those products, they can do their own configurations with respect to the PLDs. Okay, that will be best for them. For that reason, uh, they can order as how many parts they want. PLDs can be reprogrammed even after the piece of equipment is shipped to the customer. The manufacturers can add new features or upgrade products that already are in the field. To do this, they simply upload a new programming file to the PLDs via the internet, creating the new hardware logic in the system. Say users, if they are getting these PLDs, they can reprogram it. What all the changes they want, what all the updation they want with respect to their product, that all those things they can do with respect to the PLDs. Okay. Next, we have commercial off the shelf components, COTS. A commercial off the shelf product is one which is used as is, means whatever the product which is ready with respect to the chips and everything, what all the device is there, simply you are taking it and you are implementing it into your products. That is commercial off shelf products. COTS products are designed in such a way to provide easy integration and interoperability with existing system components. Already existing system components are there. You want some of the devices like your stepper motor controlling device, then you will be having already ready stepper motor controlling product, okay, or off the shelf product, which will be taken directly and only interconnection you will do, and you, as and when you are power switch it on, the stepper motor will run. In that way, commercial off the shelf products will work. Okay, the COTS components itself may be developed around a general purpose or domain specific processors, or an application specific integrated circuit, or a programmable logic device. What all the different type of processors or implementation circuits we have discussed, all those can be implemented for your commercial off the shelf devices. Advantages are they are readily available in the market and they are cheap. Developer can cut down his development time at a great extent. See, if they want the simulator part, or if they want the PWM generator, then simply sitting and writing with respect to PWM generator new program, no need of doing that one. If you are already getting a PWM generator device or a product, simply take that and interconnect with your main product, then it will give you the actual result. That's why developer time will be reduced if you are getting this type of commercial off shelf products. Okay, reduces the time to market. Next, typical example of COTS hardware units are remote controller toy car control units. These including the RF circuitry part, higher performance, high frequency microwave electronics, that is 2 to 200 gigahertz, high bandwidth analog to digital converters, and devices and components for operating at very high temperature, and optic IR imaging arrays, and UV or IR detector, etc. These are the these are the components which are used in your remote controlled toy car control units. And the TCP/IP plugin module available for the various manufacturer like Viznet, Freescale and Dynalog, etc. are very good example for COTS products. For here they have shown you an example of COTS product for TCP/IP plugin for Visnet. Okay, Visnet plugin module they have given, which can be simply inserted into the device, whichever the product should be connected with respect to wireless connections or wired connection, then automatically simply implementing this into the main product and connecting with respect to the TCP/IP plugin module. Okay, plugin connections. Next we have explanation related to memory. Memory is an important part of a processor controller based embedded system, and some of the processor or control maintain built-in memory, and this memory is referred as on-chip memory. Inside the chips only, if you have a memory, then it is called as a on-chip memory. Others do not contain any memory inside the chip and requires external memory to be connected with the controller or processor is stored to store the control algorithm is called off-chip memory. Off-chip memory means whatever the main device is there, main memory, main processor is there. If the memory device is not present in the main chip, then automatically you can connect the external memory device to store the information from your main chip. That is called as off-chip memory. Also, some working memory is required for holding the data temporarily during the certain operation. You can call it as program storage. Sorry, yeah. You need some extra holding memory or working memory with respect to holding the data temporarily whenever the process is running. And you can take it as program storage memory, that is ROM, random the program memory or code storage memory of an embedded system stores the program instructions. It will show you program instructions. The code memory retains its contents even after the power is switched off. It is generally known as non-volatile storage memory. Whenever we can see this type of memory, that is ROM, is a code memory. Whatever the programs you are writing or whatever the algorithms you are writing for any of the product, everything will be stored in this ROM, random read-only memory, where uh, it is called as a non-volatile memory. Why? Because if we are in between executing your main program, if power is cut off or if you are switching off the device, automatically it will store your program. It won't affect the data which is present in your memory. That's why it is called as non-volatile. It can't be get affected by the power supply. Okay, and it is classified into different types as shown here. Code memory, you can take it as PROM, masked ROM, EEPROM, EEPROM, NVROM, NVRAM, and flash. If I am going with respect to masked ROM, masked ROM is one-time programmable device. The masked ROM makes use of hardwired technology for storing data. The device is factory programmed by masking and metallization process at the time of production itself according to the data provided by the end user. That is with respect to masked ROM. And advantages: low cost for high volume production. Limitation is inability to modify the device firmware against the firmware upgrades. Since the MROM is permanent in bit storage, it is not possible to alter the bit information. That is masked ROM. With respect to, it is a one-time programmable. Whenever you want to do the changes, you want to implement your program into the ROM or code into the ROM, it is a hardware. It means once you are implementing that one, it will be masked. After implementing, it will be masked. You can't change anything with respect to that. Okay, that is with respect to masked ROM. And the limitation is it is low cost and high volume. Advantages: low cost and high volume production. Limitation is inability to modify the device firmware against the firmware upgrades. If any upgradation with respect to the software is going on, you can't do that with respect to your masked ROM devices. Okay. Since the MROM is permanent even bit storage, it is not possible to alter the bit information. You can't do the alteration with respect to bit information. That is with respect to your masked